Few large promoters in India have faced financial difficulties in recent times, a substantial chunk of which has been triggered by their pledged stake and the inability to honor repayments. That's prompted some others who still have the financial might to clean up and release at least some of the pledges to keep the gunpowder dry. Yatin Mota, who's gone through the stock exchange filings to figure out just how many promoter entities have freed their pledged stakes and increased or decreased the stake. Yatin, what are the timeframes that we are working with here? Good morning.
Good morning, Neeraj. This is basically the data for last week of October to the second week of November. So, in the last 15-20 days, whatever activity has happened in terms of the pledge shares as well as in terms of the overall metric is something we have culled out. Now, if you look at the pledge data, which has been released recently, and more importantly, the data is showing that a few large entities have been able to reduce their pledge shares. In fact, if you look at JSW Steel, the pledge shares have come down significantly to a level of 43% from the previous quarterly filing of 50%. So a good improvement seen as far as JSW pledges are concerned. They have reduced that substantially. If you look at Imami also, here the pledge, which was over 70% few months back, and 69.3% as of September has got reduced to a level of 63.5%. So a substantial amount of improvement here. Remember, they have been selling their stock to mutual funds in order to reduce the debt at the promoter level, and they have been able to do that, and that is reflective of the pledge share decline that we have seen for Imami in particular. And Adani Ports also is one stock we are watching out for. In general, the pledge at Adani Group is quite high. Adani Ports being the flagship company, here they have been able to reduce the promoter pledge substantially to a level of 38% from the previous quarterly filing of 40%. Now, if you look at the future group, and this is one interesting trend we found out. The problem really is at the promoter level. The pledges have been increasing substantially, year on year, and if you look at the last few quarters, they have been substantially higher. In fact, if you look at that for future retail, the pledge shares have increased to a level of 73% now, almost 6% higher on a last data filing basis. If you look at future lifestyles FLFL, here also the entire promoter stake is almost pledged. So here also we have seen a substantial increase. And finally, future consumer. This is also one of the large companies of the future group. Here also the pledge shares from the level of 62% as on 30th September has increased to a level of 78%. So the large companies of the future group have seen substantial amount of increase as far as their pledge shares are concerned. So watch out for that one. And finally, in terms of the insider activity, we have names like Ultratech Cement, wherein promoters Aditya Marketing have sold close to 4 lakh shares in the open market for the period till 8th of November. If you look at HDFC Bank also, Abhay Aima, he is the head of marketing as well as sales here. He has sold 5.4 lakh shares. A substantial number of shares have been sold by Abhay Aima. And finally, Jyoti Laboratories. Here also promoters have sold close to 1.55 crore shares in the open market. Of course, this were to meet certain promoter level obligations, and this is also one stock which needs to be focused upon. The management also was there with us a few days back, but Jyoti Laboratories also remains under focus after promoters have sold a substantial amount of shares.
I think this is interesting. Not all uptick in pledge shares would necessarily mean that it will be doomsday scenario, but some of those numbers are pretty large. The future group numbers, Future Lifestyle, for example, 99% pledge is a really large sum.
And Neeraj, the pledge shares have been going up substantially for the future group. Remember, if you look at future group few years back, they had moved to a big restructuring plan. They sold certain businesses to the Aditya Birla Group. They divested their Capital First, which is now IDFC Capital First. They sold their insurance business. So a lot of things that the promoters have done in order to bring down the group level debt, the promoter level debt. But probably now in the last few days, we have seen again that pledge shares scenario haunting the overall investor sentiment in the future group stocks.